Welcome to Kong's Corner. My name is John Voth, and this is the show where I vanquish my enemies with lightning and fire. But I actually read Harry Potter every single day. I have not read it before. Please don't spoil anything in the chats or comments because we are on the 7th book, and for some freak reason, things have not been spoiled yet for me. It's actually pretty amazing. It is pretty amazing. It's the 7th book, and nothing has happened yet. Some slight, ooh, just watch out for this, or pay attention to this coming up. But, yeah, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty great. Of course, we've had lovely mods who have been just watching out for that sort of thing, so thank you to all of you. We're just going to jump right into it. Somebody asked me, what is my evil name? I asked in the chat beforehand what everybody's evil name would be. Mine would be the impotent imposter. Just like getting into groups and being like, I can't do anything. Oh man. Okay, let's get started, shall we? So he was Harry Potter was just accused in the newspapers of the one who had murdered Dumbledore. He was the one who murdered or killed Dumbledore, apparently. So and I think they're just about to read more of this. Lupin just brought in a newspaper, news or Voth-demort. That's a really good one. That's a great one. Yes. Okay, let's get started. Where were we? I'll start off with what Lupin left off with. But by suggesting that you had a hand in the old hero's death, Voldemort has not only set a price upon your head, but sown doubt and fear amongst many who would have defended you. Meanwhile, the Ministry has started moving against Muggleborns. Lupin pointed at the Daily Prophet. Look at page 2. Hermione turned the pages with much the same expression of distaste she had worn when handling secrets of the darkest art. I don't know if this will work. Let's try it out! No voice. We got no voice. I'm just going to do it here. I don't know what's going on. Muggleborn Register. The Ministry of Magic is undertaking a survey of so-called Muggleborns, the better to understand how they came to possess magical secrets. Recent research undertaken by the Department of Mystery reveals that magic can only be passed from person to person when wizards reproduce. Where no proven wizarding ancestry exists, therefore, the so-called Muggleborn is likely to have obtained magical power by theft or force. Ooh. The Ministry is determined to root out such usurpers of magical power, and to this end has issued an invitation to every so-called Muggleborn to present themselves for interview by the newly appointed Muggleborn Registration Commission. Whoa! This is totally Nazi stuff. Register yourselves! Show yourselves so we might vanquish you! Yikes. This is, yeah, such bad propaganda. That's right, Mark. So cold. It's very, very Nazi-like. Maybe it's a play on all those guys. People won't let this happen, said Ron. It is happening, Ron, said Lupin. Muggleborns are being rounded up as we speak. But how are they supposed to have stolen magic, said Ron. It's mental. If you could steal magic, there wouldn't be any squibs, would there? I know, said Lupin. Nevertheless, unless you can prove that you have at least one close wizarding relative, you are now deemed to have obtained your magical power illegally and must suffer the punishment. Ron glanced at Hermione, then said, What if purebloods and half-bloods swear a Muggleborn's part of their family? I'll tell everyone Hermione's my cousin. Hermione covered Ron's hand with hers and squeezed it. Thank you, Ron, but I couldn't let you... You won't have a choice, said Ron fiercely, gripping her hand back. I'll teach you my family tree so you can answer questions on it. Hermione gave a shaky laugh. Ron, as we're on the run with Harry Potter, the most wanted person in the country, I don't think it matters. If I was going back to school, it would be different. What's Voldemort planning for Hogwarts? She asked Lupin. Attendance is now compulsory for every young witch and wizard, he replied. That was announced yesterday. It's a change, because it was never obligatory before. Of course, nearly every witch and wizard in Britain has been educated at Hogwarts, but their parents had the right to teach them at home or send them abroad if they preferred. This way, Voldemort will have the whole wizarding population under his eye from a young age. And it's also another way of weeding out Muggleborns, because students must give blood status, meaning that they have proven to the Ministry that they are of wizard descent before they are allowed to attend. It's just, what's his ultimate goal? Actually, that's what I want to know. I know power and ultimate power is his goal, but is his ultimate goal to just annihilate all Muggles? Probably. So that they're just wizards on Earth and he's the ruler over all the earth? Harry felt sickened and angry. At this moment, excited 11-year-olds would be poring over stacks of newly purchased spell books, unaware that they would never see Hogwarts, perhaps never see their families again either. It's, he muttered, struggling to find words that did justice to the horror of his thoughts. But Lupin said quietly, I know. Lupin hesitated. I'll understand if you can't confirm this, Harry, but the Order's under the impression that Dumbledore left you a mission. He did, Harry replied, and Ron and Hermione are in on it, and they're coming with me. Can you confide in me what the mission is? Harry looked into the prematurely lined face, framed in thick but graying hair, and wished that he could return a different answer. I can't, Remus. I'm sorry. If Dumbledore didn't tell you, I don't think I can. I thought you'd say that, said Lupin, looking disappointed. But I might still be of some use to you. You know what I am, and what I can do. I could come with you to provide protection. There would be no need to tell me exactly what you were up to. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. If Lupin joins that golden trio, kind of like that. That'd be fun. Muggles are to him as Jews were to Hitler. Yeah, pure blood superiority is my take on it. Sounds in line with most villains. That's true. Yeah. Harry hesitated. It was a very tempting offer, though how they would be able to keep their mission secret from Lupin if he were with them all the time, he could not imagine. Hermione, however, looked puzzled. What about Tonks? She asked. What about her? Said Lupin. Well, said Hermione, frowning. You're married. How does she feel about you going away with us? Tonks will be perfectly safe, said Lupin. She'll be at her parents' house. There was something strange in Lupin's tone. It was almost cold. There was also something odd in the idea of Tonks remaining hidden at her parents' house. She was, after all, a member of the Order, and, as far as Harry knew, was likely to want to be back in the thick of the action. What if he's under that, what's that spell called? Where they're controlled. Their actions are controlled. What if he's under that spell right now? No! Remus, said Hermione tentatively, is everything all right? You know, between you and... Everything is fine, thank you, said Lupin pointedly. Hermione turned pink, imperious. There was another pause, an awkward and embarrassed one. And then Lupin said, with an air of forcing himself to admit something unpleasant, "Tonks is going to have a baby." "Oh, how wonderful!" squealed Hermione. "Excellent," said Ron. I don't know why, but anytime Ron gets really excited, it's just funny for some reason. Said Ron enthusiastically. "Congratulations," said Harry. Lupin gave an artificial smile that was more like a grimace, then said, "So, do you accept my offer? Will 3 become 4? I cannot believe that Dumbledore would have disapproved. He appointed me your defense against the dark arts teacher, after all. And I must tell you that I believe that we are facing magic many of us have never encountered or imagined." Ron and Hermione both looked at Harry. Just to be clear," he said, "you want to leave Tonks at her parents' house and come away with us?" "She'll be perfectly safe there. They'll look after her," said Lupin. He spoke with a finality bordering on indifference. "Harry, I'm sure James would have wanted me to stick with you." "Well," said Harry slowly, "I'm not. I'm pretty sure my father would have wanted to know why you aren't sticking with your own kid. Actually." Lupin's face drained of color. The temperature in the kitchen might have dropped 10 degrees. Ron stared around the room as though he had been bidden to memorize it, while Hermione's eyes swiveled backwards and forwards from Harry to Lupin. "You don't understand," said Lupin at last. "Explain, then," said Harry. Lupin swallowed. I made a grave mistake in marrying Tonks. I did it against my better judgment, and I have regretted it very much ever since." "I see," said Harry. "So you're just going to dump her and the kid and run off with us?" Oof, oh, yikes. Eesh. Did not expect this. Did not expect this, this coldness from Lupin, this kind of banality of importance. Yeah. This is not okay, Lupin. Give him a good backhand to the face. It'd be the best if Hermione swung up again and went, big old backhand to the face, Lupin. Oh, there's no music playing. Let's get some music going. Hey? I think it's playing. No, it's not playing. There we go. It's playing now. A big old to the face. A big old to the face. Okay, let's keep going. Lupin sprang to his feet. His chair toppled over backwards, and he glared at them so fiercely that Harry saw, for the first time ever, the shadow of the wolf upon his human face. Oh, damn! We gotta get some other music going on here! Oh, wow. Don't you understand what I've done to my wife and my unborn child? I should never have married her. I've made her an outcast. Lupin kicked aside the chair he had overturned. You have only ever seen me amongst the Order or under Dumbledore's protection at Hogwarts. You don't know how most of the wizarding world sees creatures like me. When they know of my affliction, they can barely talk to me. Don't you see what I've done? Even our own family is disgusted by our marriage. What parents want their only daughter to marry a werewolf? And the child... Lupin actually seized handfuls of his own hair. He looked quite deranged. My kind don't usually breed. It would be like me. I'm convinced of it. How can I forgive myself when I knowingly risked passing on my own condition to an innocent child? And if by some miracle it is not like me, then it would be better off 100 times so without a father of whom it must always be ashamed. Remus, whispered Hermione, tears in her eyes. Don't say that. How could any child be ashamed of you? Oh, I don't know, Hermione, said Harry. I'd be pretty ashamed of him. Harry did not know where his rage was. Oh, damn! Oh! Did not know where his rage was coming from, but it had propelled him to his feet, too. Lupin looked as though Harry had hit him. If the new regime thinks muggle-borns are bad... I'm sorry, this is not right either. If the new regime thinks muggle-borns are bad, Harry said, what will they do to a half-werewolf whose father is in the Order? My father died trying to protect my father and me, and you reckon he'd tell you to abandon your kid to go on an adventure with us? How dare you, said Lupin. This is not about a desire for danger or personal glory. How dare you suggest such a... I think you're feeling a bit of a daredevil, Harry said. You fancy stepping into Sirius's shoes? Harry, no! Hermione begged him, but he continued to glare into Lupin's livid face. I'd never have believed this, Harry said. The man who taught me to fight Dementors. A coward. It's too much. It's too much. Lupin drew his wand so fast that Harry had barely been reached for his own. There was a loud bang, and he felt himself flying backwards, as if punched. Oh, damn! As he slammed into the kitchen wall and slid to the floor, he glimpsed the tail of Lupin's cloak disappearing round the door. Remus! Remus, come back! Hermione cried, but Lupin did not respond. A moment later, they heard the front door slam. Harry! Wailed Hermione. How could you? It was easy, said Harry. He stood up. He could feel a lump swelling where his head had hit the wall. Benji, if you're new, Mark is my previous roommate. He had been listening to everything since the beginning of the reads. We're reading it for the first time, and he's one of the mods. He stood up. He could feel he was still so full of anger he was shaking. Don't look at me like that! No, don't look at me like that! He snapped at Hermione. Don't you start on her! Snarled Ron. No, we mustn't fight, said Hermione, launching herself between them. You shouldn't have said that stuff to Lupin, Ron told Harry. He had it coming to him, said Harry. Broken images were racing each other through his mind, Sirius falling through the veil, Dumbledore suspended, broken in mid-air. A flash of green light and his mother's voice, begging for mercy. Parents, said Harry, shouldn't leave their kids unless they've got to. Harry, said Hermione, stretching out a consoling hand, but he shrugged it off and walked away, his eyes on the fire Hermione had conjured. He had once spoken to Lupin out of that fireplace, seeking reassurance about James, and Lupin had consoled him. Now Lupin's tortured, white face seemed to swim in the air before him. He felt a sickening surge of remorse. Neither Ron nor Hermione spoke, but Harry felt sure that they were looking at each other behind his back, communicating silently. This is written so well because of it's like so many people have died. There's so much danger around, so much hurt, so much confusion about what should be done. Just in general, that's the general atmosphere. And then of course, Lupin, who's feeling the amount of shame he's brought on his, perceived shame he's brought on his wife, and now he brought a kid into the world who's going to feel nothing but shame as he grows up. That's what he believes. So he's bringing that to the table, and he's very. It's a room full of very sensitive people. They're all super sensitive. He's super sensitive about that, and Harry hits home, but and it takes it as a personal affront because his parents were taken away, and this kid has a dad, and this dad chooses to leave, and so he's now taking it sensitively. So everybody's being very sensitive and is not expressing that hurt in a healthy way, and is basically saying, "Screw you for hurting me even more." Yeah. creating a whole bunch of disconnect, which is exactly what Voldemort wants. I understand both Harry and Lupin both have points. Yeah, I understand them too. I think Harry did overreact. They're both at fault. It's like you see both their points and they're both at fault. Harry overreacted, but also Lupin left his kid to go on a dangerous adventure. Nah, that's also not cool. Also not cool. Yeah, flawed people. Where are we? So, Lupin's tortured white face, sickening surge of remorse. Neither Ron nor Hermione spoke, but Harry felt sure that they were looking at each other behind his back, communicating silently. He turned around and caught them turning hurriedly away from each other. I know I shouldn't have called him a coward. No, you shouldn't, said Ron at once. But he's acting like one. All the same, said Hermione. I know, said Harry. But if it makes him go back to Tonks, it'll be worth it. Won't it? He could not keep the plea out of his voice. Hermione looked sympathetic, Ron uncertain. Harry looked down at his feet, thinking of his father. Would James have backed Harry in what he had said to Lupin? Or would he have been angry at how his son had treated his old friend? The silent kitchen seemed to hum with the shock of the recent scene. Oh, I love that! Oh, that's what happens in a room. The room hums with the anger and the hurt and the sadness when something like this happens. It's so good. And with Ron and Hermione's unspoken reproaches. The Daily Prophet Lupin had brought was still lying on the table, Harry's own face staring up at the ceiling from the front page. He walked over it and sat down, opened the paper at random, and pretended to read. He could not take in the words. His mind was still too full of the encounter with Lupin. He was sure that Ron and Hermione had resumed their silent communications on the other side of the Prophet. He turned a page loudly, and Dumbledore's name leapt out at him. It was a moment or two before he took in the meaning of the photograph, which showed a family group. Beneath the photograph were the words, "The Dumbledore family, left to right, Albus, Percival, holding newborn Ariana, Kendra, and Aberforth." Right. So back to the regular music here. His attention caught. Harry examined the picture more carefully. Dumbledore's father, Percival, was a good-looking man with eyes that seemed to twinkle even in this faded old photograph. The baby, Ariana, was little longer than a loaf of bread, and just as tasty. So dumb. The baby, Ariana, was little longer than a loaf of bread, and no more distinctive looking. The mother, Kendra, had jet black hair pulled into a high bun. Her face had a carved quality about it. Jeez. Despite the high-necked silk gown she wore, Harry thought of Native Americans as he studied her dark eyes, high cheekbones, and straight nose. Albus and Aberforth wore matching lacy-collared jackets and had identical shoulder-length hairstyles. Albus looked several years older, but otherwise the two boys looked very alike. For this was before Albus's nose had been broken, and before he started wearing glasses. How did his nose get broken again? I can't remember. The family looked quite happy and normal, smiling serenely out of the newspaper. Baby Ariana's arm waved vaguely out of her shawl. Harry looked above the picture and saw the headline. Okay, let me fix this for a hot second so that it actually... Okay, I think this should work now. Here we are. This works now. Okay, there we go. Exclusive extract from the upcoming biography of Albus Dumbledore by Rita Skeeter. Thinking that it could hardly make him feel any worse than he already did, Harry began to read. Proud and haughty, Kendra Dumbledore could not bear to remain in mold on the wold after her husband Percival's well-publicized arrest and imprisonment. Oh, how long is this going to go on first of all? Okay. Here we go. Okay. She therefore decided to uproot the family and relocate to Godric's Hollow, the village that was later to gain fame as the scene of Harry Potter's strange escape from you-know-who. Like mold on the wold, Godric's Hollow was home to a number of wizarding families, but as Kendra knew none of them, she would be spared the curiosity about her husband's crime she had faced in her former village. By repeatedly rebuffing the friendly advances of her new wizarding neighbors, she soon ensured that her family was well left alone. Slammed the door in my face when I went round to welcome her with a batch of homemade cauldron cakes, says Bathilda Bagshot. The first year they were there, I only ever saw 2 boys. Wouldn't have known there was a daughter if I hadn't been picking plungentines by moonlight the winter after they moved in, and saw Kendra leading Ariana out into the back garden. Walked around the lawn once, keeping a firm grip on her, then took her back inside. Didn't know what to make of it. It seems that Kendra thought the move to Godric's Hollow was the perfect opportunity to hide Ariana once and for all, something she had probably been planning for years. The timing was significant. Ariana was barely 7 years old when she vanished from sight, and 7 is the age by which most experts agree that magic will have revealed itself if present. Nobody now alive remembers Ariana ever demonstrating even the slightest sign of magical ability. It seems clear, therefore, that Kendra made a decision to hide her daughter's existence rather than suffer the shame of admitting that she had produced a squib. Moving away from the friends and neighbors who knew Ariana would, of course, make imprisoning her all the easier. The tiny number of people who henceforth knew of Ariana's existence could be counted upon to keep the secret, including her 2 brothers, who deflected awkward questions with the answer their mother had taught them: "My sister is too frail for school." Next week, Albus Dumbledore at Hogwarts, the prizes and the pretense. Whoa. Harry had been wrong. What he had read had indeed made him feel worse. Yeah, don't read that stuff. He looked back at the photograph of the apparently happy family. Was it true? How could he find out? He wanted to go to Godric's Hollow, even if Bathilda was in no fit state to talk to him. He wanted to visit the place where he and Dumbledore had both lost loved ones. He was in the process of lowering the newspaper to ask Ron and Hermione's opinion when a deafening crack echoed around the kitchen. For the first time in 3 days, Harry had forgotten all about Creature. Oh, yeah. No, I took it all in. I mean, I took it in, but it's also like Rita writing it, so it's basically, the majority of it is just lies. So, you know, I don't know how much weight to put into what she writes. For the first time in 3 days, Harry had forgotten all about Creature. His immediate thought was that Lupin had burst back into the room, and for a split second, he did not take in the mass of struggling limbs that had appeared out of thin air right beside his chair. He hurried to his feet as Creature disentangled himself, and bowing low to Harry, croaked, "Creature has returned with the thief Mundungus Fletcher, master." Oh! Mundungus is here. No way. Oh, and he was also with, Mad Eye. He was the other, when Mad Eye got, killed. Damn. Mundungus scrambled up and pulled out his wand. Hermione, however, was too quick for him. Expelliarmus! Mundungus's wand soared into the air, and Hermione caught it. Like a badass! What's going on? Oh, I, I tried some new things. I got some problems to fix. Okay. What? He bellowed, writhing in his attempts to free himself from Ron's grip. What I done? Setting a bleeding house. Oh, what? No, he was Cockney. Yeah, he was Cockney like this. Yeah. What have I done? Setting a bleeding house elf on me. What are you playing at? What have I done? Let me go. Or you're not in much of a position to make threats, said Harry. He threw aside the newspaper, crossed the kitchen in a few strides, and dropped to his knees beside Mundungus, who stopped struggling and looked terrified. Ron got up, panting, and watched as Harry pointed his wand deliberately at Mundungus's nose. Mundungus stank of stale sweat and tobacco smoke. His hair was matted, and his robes stained.
Creature apologizes for the delay in bringing the thief, master,
croaked the elf.
Fletcher knows how to avoid capture. Has many hidey holes and accomplices. Nevertheless, Creature cornered the thief in the end.
You've done really well, Creature, said Harry, and the elf bowed low. Right. We've got a few questions for you, Harry told Mundungus, who shouted at once,
I panicked, okay? I never want him to come along. No offence, mate, but I never volunteered to die for you, and that was bleeding you-know-who coming flying at me. Anyone would have got out of there. I said all along I didn't want to do it.
For your information, none of the rest of us disapparated, said Hermione.
Well, you're a bunch of bleeding heroes then, aren't you? But I never pretended I was up for killing myself.
We're not interested in why you ran out on Mad Eye, said Harry, moving his wand a little closer to Mundungus's baggy, bloodshot eyes. We already knew you were an unreliable bit of scum.
Well then, why the hell am I being hunted down by ourselves? Well then, why the hell am I being hunted down by ourselves? Was this about them goblets again? I ain't got none of them left. Or you could have or you could have them.
It's not about the goblets either, although you're getting warmer, said Harry. Shut up and listen. It felt wonderful to have something to do, someone of whom he could demand some small portion of truth. Harry's wand was now so close to the bridge of Mundungus's nose that Mundungus had gone cross-eyed trying to keep it in view. When you cleaned out this house of anything valuable, Harry began, but Mundungus interrupted again.
Sirius never cared about any of the junk.
There was the sound of pattering feet, a blaze of shining copper, an echoing clang, and a shriek of agony. Creature had taken a run at Mundungus and hit him over the head with the saucepan. Man, I have taken a complete 180 on Creature. I love me some Creature right now. He just like,
call him off. He should be locked up,
screamed Mundungus, cowering as Creature raised the heavy potted pan again.
He's like,
Creature, no, shouted Harry. Creature's thin arms trembled with the weight of the pan, still held aloft. He's got so much fury in him. I love it. He's just like,
perhaps just one more, Master Harry. For luck.
That's so good. Ron laughed. We need him conscious, Creature, but if he needs persuading, you can do the honors, said Harry.
Thank you very much, Master,
said Creature with a bow, and retreated a short distance, his great pale eyes still fixed upon Mundungus with loathing. I hope they do this moment justice in the movies, because I want to see this. Oh, that's so funny. It's so funny. Nobody incited him to hit him over the head. He just decided. He was like, oh, well, this needs to be done. So he runs up, grabs a pen, and smokes him over the head. I love it. It's so good. Oh, man, that was good. When you strip this house... Oh, when you strip this house of all the... Oh, of all... When you stripped this house of all the valuables you could find, Harry began again, you took a bunch of stuff from the kitchen cupboard. There was a locket there. Harry's mouth was suddenly dry. He could sense Ron and Hermione's tension and excitement, too. What did you do with it? Why? Asked Mundungus. Is it valuable? You've still got it! Cried Hermione. No, he hasn't, said Ron shrewdly. He's wondering whether he should have asked more money for it. More? Said Mundungus. That wouldn't have been... That wouldn't have been effing difficult. Bleeding gave it away, didn't I? No choice. What do you mean? I was selling in Diagon Alley, and she came up to me and asked if I got a license for trading in magical artifacts. Bleeding snoop. She was going to fine me, but she took a fancy to the locket and told me she'd take it and let me off that time and to think myself lucky. Who is this woman? Asked Harry. I don't know. Some ministry hag. Mundungus considered for a moment, brow wrinkled. Little woman. Bow on top of her head. He frowned and then added, Looked like a toad.
Boo! Go on, get out of here! You stink! Get off the stage!
Umbridge, you despicable toad. Umbridge!
Harry dropped his wand. It hit Mundungus on the nose and shot red sparks into his eyebrows, which ignited. Augmentai! Screamed Hermione, and a jet of water streamed from her wand, engulfing and spluttering and choking Mundungus. Harry looked up and saw his own shock reflected in Ron and Hermione's faces. The scar on the back of his right hand seemed to be tingling again. Wow, 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 wow. That's stupid, stupid Umbridge. Stupid Umbridge. Chapter 12. Magic is might. Man, that was a great chapter. I love that one. That, you know, no crazy action or anything, but man, the scenes were action-packed, the emotions and the characters. Ooh, so good. Great chapter. Chapter 12. Magic is might. As August wore on, the square of unkept grass in the middle of Grimmauld Place shriveled in the sun until it was brittle and brown. Oh wow, just all of August. The inhabitants of number 12 were never seen by anybody in the surrounding houses, nor was number 12 itself. The Muggles who lived in Grimmauld Place had long since accepted the amusing mistake in the numbering that had caused number 11 to sit beside number 13. Huh, cool. And yet the square was now attracting a trickle of visitors who seemed... Again, alliteration, yet the square was now attracting a trickle of visitors who seemed to find the anomaly most intriguing. Barely a day passed without one or two people arriving in Grimmauld Place with no other purpose, or so it seemed, than to lean against the railing facing numbers 11 and 13, watching the join between the two houses. The lurkers were never the same 2 days running, although they all seemed to share a dislike for normal clothing. Most of the Londoners who passed them were used to eccentric dressers and took little notice, though occasionally one of them might glance back, wondering why anyone would wear such long cloaks in this heat. The watchers seemed to be gleaning little satisfaction from their vigil. Occasionally, one of them started forwards excitedly, as if they had seen something interesting at last, only to fall back, looking disappointed. Is that alliteration or assonance? Assonance? I don't know. Since it's within the words. I don't know. I've never even heard of Oh, it's assonance. Assonance? Consonants? English! On the first day of September, there were more people lurking in the square than ever before. Half a dozen men in long cloaks stood silent and watchful, gazing as ever at houses 11 and 13. But the thing for which they were waiting still appeared elusive. As evening drew in, bringing with it an unexpected gust of chilly rain for the first time in weeks, there occurred one of those inexplicable moments when they appeared to have seen something interesting. The man with the twisted face pointed, and his closest companion, a podgy, pallid man, started forwards, but a moment later they had relaxed into their previous state of inactivity, looking frustrated and disappointed. Meanwhile, inside number 12, Harry had just entered the hall. He had nearly lost his balance as he apparated onto the top step just outside the front door, and thought that the Death Eaters might have caught a glimpse of his momentarily exposed elbow. Why the hell would he do that? Shutting the front door carefully behind him, he pulled off the invisibility cloak, draped it over his arm, and hurried along the gloomy hallway towards the door that led to the basement, a stolen copy of the Daily Prophet clutched in his hand. The usual low whisper of Severus Snape greeted him. The chill wind swept him, and his tongue rolled up for a moment. I didn't kill you, he said. Once it had unrolled, then held his breath as the dusty Jinx figure exploded. He waited until it was halfway down the stairs to the kitchen, out of earshot of Mrs. Black, and clear of the dust cloud before calling, I've got news, and you won't like it. The kitchen was almost unrecognizable. Every surface now shone. Copper pots and pans had been burnished to a rosy glow. The wooden tabletop gleamed. The goblets and plates already laid for dinner glinted in the light from a merrily blazing fire on which a cauldron was simmering. Nothing in the room, however, was more dramatically different than the house elf who now came hurrying towards Harry, dressed in a snowy white towel, his ear hair as clean and fluffy as cotton wool, Regulus's locket bouncing on his thin chest.
Shave yourself. Shave yourself. Shoes off, if you please, Master Harry, and hands washed before dinner,
croaked Creature, seizing the invisibility cloak and slouching off to hang it on a hook on the wall, beside a number of old-fashioned robes that had been freshly laundered. What's happened? Ron asked apprehensively. He and Hermione had been poring over a sheaf of scribbled notes and hand-drawn maps that littered the end of the long kitchen table. But now they watched Harry as he strode towards them and threw down the newspaper on top of their scattered parchment. A large picture of a familiar hook-nosed, black-haired man stared up at them all. Beneath, a headline that read, Severus Snape confirmed as Hogwarts headmaster.
What? I shan't believe my eyes. What? That son of a bitch. Oh my dear heavens above. Things cannot get worse. Is he not training these youngins to kill nice old men? To kill perfectly good, pure-hearted old men? Is that what he's training these young imps now? These young minions of his? Go, find every old man and push them off towers. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Snoop. Yeah, Snoop.
Could be worse, could be Umbridge. Nuh-uh, he's the worst. He is the worst, for sure. No, said Ron and Hermione loudly. Hermione was quickest. She snatched up the newspaper and began to read the accompanying story.
Okay, I'm not going to do the whole... I'm just going to do it in the voice. I'm going to do the whole intro. Read the story out loud. Severus Snape, long-standing potions master at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, was today appointed headmaster in the most important of several staff changes at the ancient school. Following the resignation of the previous Muggle studies teacher, Alecto Caro will take over the post while her brother, Amicus, fills the position of defense against the dark arts professor. I welcome... I think, who's this? Is this Snape? I welcome the opportunity to uphold our finest wizarding traditions and values. Okay, what? Headmaster? Okay, following the resignation of the previous Muggle study teacher, Alecto Caro, I don't think we know this person yet, while her brother, Amicus, did we get to know Amicus yet? Alecto Caro and Amicus. Let's see, what are people... I'm trying not to read the very first thing that pops up, so to give Lois a chance to... Hey, buddy, come here, come. Dexter, come here. Nah, he just wants to stare at me like a weirdo again. They were there when Dumbledore died. Oh my gosh, no, what are they doing? What is happening to the world? What is happening? I welcome the opportunity to uphold our finest wizarding traditions and values. Who's ailing this? Like committing murder and cutting off people's ears, I suppose. Snape! Headmaster! Snape in Dumbledore's study! Merlin's pants! She shrieked, making both Harry and Ron jump. She leapt up from the table and hurtled from the room, shouting as she went, I'll be back in a minute! Don't want to make her angry. Merlin's pants? Repeated Ron, looking amused. She must be upset. He pulled the newspaper towards him and perused the article about Snape. The other teachers won't stand for this. McGonagall and Flitwick and Sprout all know the truth. They know how Dumbledore died. They won't accept Snape as headmaster, and who are these Carrows? Death Eaters, said Harry. There are pictures of them inside. They were at the top of the tower when Snape killed Dumbledore, so it's all friends together. And, Harry went on bitterly, drawing up a chair, and turning around, sitting on it backwards. I can't see that the other teachers have got any choice but to stay. If the Ministry and Voldemort are behind Snape, it'll be a choice between staying and teaching or a nice few years in Azkaban. And that's if they're lucky. I reckon they'll stay to try and protect the students. Kreacher came bustling to the table with a large tureen in his hands and ladled that soup into pristine bowls, whistling between his teeth as he did so. Complete 180. I love myself some Kreacher. I love myself some Kreacher. He's just so, like, good and pristine now. Thanks, Kreacher, said Harry, flipping over the prophet so as to not have to look at Snape's face. Well, at least we know exactly where Snape is now. He began to spoon soup into his mouth. The quality of Kreacher's cooking had improved dramatically ever since he had been giving Regulus his locket. Today's French onion was as good as Harry had ever tasted. There are still a load of Death Eaters watching the house, he told Ron as he ate, more than usual. It's like they're hoping we'll march out carrying our school trunks and head off for the Hogwarts Express. Ron glanced at his watch. I've been thinking about that all day. It left nearly 6 hours ago. Weird, not being on it, isn't it? In his mind's eye, Harry seemed to see the scarlet steam engine, as he and Ron had once followed it by air, shimmering between fields and hills, a rippling scarlet caterpillar. He was sure Ginny, Neville, and Luna were sitting together at this moment, perhaps wondering where he, Ron, and Hermione were, or debating how best to undermine Snape's new regime. They nearly saw me coming back in just now, Harry said. I landed badly on the top step, and the cloak slipped. I do that every time. Oh, here she is, Ron added, craning around in his seat to watch Hermione re-entering the kitchen. And what in the name of Merlin's most baggy Y-fronts was that about? I remembered this, Hermione panted. She was carrying a large framed picture, which she now lowered to the floor before seizing her small beaded bag from the kitchen dresser.
Opening it, she proceeded to force the painting inside, and despite the fact that it was patently too large to fit inside the tiny bag, within a few seconds it had vanished, like so much else, into the bag's capacious depths. Phineas Nigellus, Hermione explained as she threw the bag onto the kitchen table with the usual sonorous clanking clash. Sorry? Said Ron, but Harry understood. The painted image of Phineas Nigellus Black was able to fit between his portrait in Grimmauld Place and the one that hung in the headmaster's office at Hogwarts. The circular tower-top room where Snape was no doubt sitting right now, in triumphant possession of Dumbledore's collection of delicate, silver, magical instruments, the stone pensieve, the sorting hat, and, unless it had been moved elsewhere, the sword of Gryffindor. Snape could send Phineas Nigellus to look inside this house for him, Hermione explained to Ron as she resumed her seat. But let him try it now. All Phineas Nigellus will be able to see is the inside of my handbag. Okay. So Snape was listening in this whole time? No. He could now. Yeah. Good thinking, said Ron, looking impressed. Thank you, smiled Hermione, pulling her soup towards her. She's so boss. She's so awesome. So, Harry, what else happened today? Nothing, said Harry. Watched the ministry entrance for 7 hours. No sign of her. Saw your dad, though, Ron. He looks fine. Wait, so he's sneaking out of the building with his cloak? He's taking that risk? Oh, that's ballsy. Yikes. Ron nodded his appreciation of this news. They had agreed that it was far too dangerous to try to communicate with Mr. Weasley while he walked in and out of the ministry, because he was always surrounded by other ministry workers. It was, however, reassuring to catch these glimpses of him, even if he did look very strained and anxious. Dad always told us most ministry people use the flu network to get to work, Ron said. That's why we haven't seen Umbridge. She'd never walk. She'd think she's too important. And what about that funny old witch and that little wizard in the navy robes? Hermione asked. Oh, yeah, the bloke from Magical Maintenance, said Ron. How do you know he works for Magical Maintenance? Hermione asked, her soup spoon suspended in midair. Dad said everyone from Magical Maintenance wears navy blue robes. But you never told us that! Hermione... Okay, I'm just trying to understand why this is so important. Hermione dropped her spoon and pulled towards her the sheaf of notes and maps that she and Ron had been examining when Harry had entered the kitchen. There's nothing in here about navy blue robes. Nothing, she said, flipping feverishly through the pages. Well, does it really matter? Ron, it all matters. If we're going to get into the ministry and not give ourselves away when they're bound to be on the lookout for intruders, every little detail matters. We've been over and over this. I mean, what's the point of all these reconnaissance trips if you aren't even bothering to tell us? Blimey, Hermione, I forgot one little thing. You do realise, don't you, that there's probably no more dangerous place in the whole world for us to be right now than the Ministry of... I think we should do it tomorrow, said Harry. Hermione stopped dead, her jaw hanging. Ron choked a little over his soup. Tomorrow? Repeated Hermione. You aren't serious, Harry. I am, said Harry. I don't think we're going to be much better prepared than we are now, even if we skulk around the ministry entrance for another month. The longer we put it off, the further away that locket could be. There's already a good chance Umbridge has chucked it away. The thing doesn't open. Whoa, okay. Just going there. Got that courage. Unless, said Ron, she's found a way of opening it and she's now possessed. Wouldn't make any difference to her. She was so evil in the first place. Harry shrugged. Hermione was biting her lip, deep in thought. We know everything important, Harry went on, addressing Hermione. We know they've stopped apparition in and out of the ministry. We know only the most senior ministry members are allowed to connect their homes to the flu network now, because Ron heard those two unspeakable unspeakables complaining about it. Okay. And we know roughly where Umbridge's office is because of what you heard that bearded bloke saying to his mate. This is the Hermione pretending to be him. I'll be up on level 1. Dolores wants to see me, Hermione recited immediately. Exactly, said Harry. And we know you get in using those funny coins or tokens or whatever they are because I saw that witch borrowing one from a friend. Oh, it's kind of like the Dumbledore's army thing, right? But we haven't got any. If the plan works, we will have, Harry continued calmly. I don't know, Harry. I don't know. There are an awful lot of things that could go wrong. So much relies on chance. That'll be true even if we spend another 3 months preparing, said Harry. It's time to act. He could tell from Ron and Hermione's faces that they were scared. He was not particularly confident himself, and yet he was sure the time had come to put their plan into operation.
Ow! Ow! I hit my teeth with this giant vase. Ow! I should look at my glass when I put it to my mouth and not at the text. Ugh. Jeez. Yeah, I'm okay, thanks. Thanks, Julie. No.
They had spent the previous 4 weeks taking it in turns to don the invisibility cloak and spy on the official entrance to the ministry, which Ron, thanks to Mr. Weasley, had known since childhood. Right. They had tailed ministry workers on their way in, eavesdropped on their conversations, and learned by careful observation which of them could be relied upon to appear alone at the same time every day. Occasionally, there had been a chance to sneak a daily profit out of somebody's briefcase. Slowly, they'd built up the sketchy maps and notes now stacked in front of Hermione. Ooh, I like that. I like this preparation. It's not like the early days of Hogwarts where like, let's go. They're like planning it out. They're careful, clever, and grown up. Love it. All right, said Ron slowly. Let's say we go for it tomorrow. I think it should just be me and Harry. Oh, don't start that again, sighed Hermione. I thought we'd settled this. It's one thing hanging around the entrances under the cloak, but this is different, Hermione. Ron jabbed a finger at the copy of the Daily Prophet dated 10 days previously. You're on the list of Muggleborns who didn't present themselves for interrogation. And you're supposed to be dying of spattergroit at the Burrow. If anyone shouldn't go, it's Harry. He's got a 10,000 galleon price on his head. Fine, I'll stay here, said Harry. Let me know if you ever defeat Voldemort, won't you? It's good. They all care for each other. They're all watching out for each other. As Ron and Hermione laughed, pain shot through the scar on Harry's forehead. His hand jumped to it. He saw Hermione's eyes narrow, and he tried to pass off the movement by brushing hair out of his eyes. Well, if all 3 of us go, we'll have to disapparate separately, Ron was saying. Can't all fit under the cloak anymore. Harry's scar was becoming more and more painful. He stood up. At once Creature hurried forwards.
Master has not finished his soup. Would Master prefer the savoury stew, or else the treacle tart to which Master is so partial?
Thanks, Creature, but I'll be back in a minute. Bathroom. Aware that Hermione was watching him suspiciously, Harry hurried up the stairs to the hall and then to the first landing. Why wouldn't he share this with them? Where he dashed into the bathroom and bolted the door again. Grunting with pain, he slumped over the black basin with its tips in the form of open-mouthed serpents and closed his eyes. He was gliding along a twilit street. The buildings on either side of him had high, timbered gables. They looked like gingerbread houses. He approached one of them, then saw the whiteness of his own long-fingered hand against the door. He knocked. He felt a mounting excitement. The door opened. A laughing woman stood there. Her face fell as she looked into Harry's face. Humor gone, terror replacing it.
Gregorovitch,
said a high, cold voice. She shook her head. She was trying to close the door. A white hand held it steady, preventing her from shutting it out.
I want Grigorovich.
wohnt hier nicht mehr. German. Wohnt hier nicht mehr, she cried, shaking her head. He no live here. He no live here. I know him not. Abandoning the attempt to close the door, she began to back away down the dark hall, and Harry followed, gliding towards her, and his long-fingered hand had drawn out his wand.
Where is he?
Das weiß ich nicht. He move. I know not. I know not. He raised the wand. She screamed. 2 young children came running into the hall. She tried to shield them with her arms. There was a flash of green light. Harry! Harry! He opened his eyes. He had sunk to the floor. Hermione was pounding on the door again. So he just murdered a mom and her kids. Harry, open up! He had shouted out. He knew it. He got up and unbolted the door. Hermione toppled inside at once, regained her balance, and looked around suspiciously. Ron was right behind her, looking unnerved as he pointed his wand into the corners of the chilly bathroom. What were you doing? Asked Hermione sternly. What do you think I was doing? Asked Harry with feeble bravado. You were yelling your head off, said Ron. Oh, yeah, I must have dozed off for... Harry, please don't insult our intelligence, said Hermione, taking deep breaths. We know your scar hurt downstairs, and you're white as a sheet. Harry sat down on the edge of the bath. Fine. I've just seen Voldemort murdering a woman. By now he's probably killed her whole family, and he didn't need to. It was Cedric all over again. They were just there. Harry, you aren't supposed to let this happen anymore, Hermione cried, her voice echoing through the bathroom. Dumbledore wanted you to use occlumency. He thought the connection was dangerous. Voldemort can use it, Harry. What good is it to watch him kill and torture? How can it help? Because it means I know what he's doing, said Harry. So you're not even going to try to shut him out? Hermione, I can't. You know I'm lousy at occlumency. I never got the hang of it. You never really tried, she said hotly. I don't get it, Harry. Do you like having this special connection or relationship or whatever? She faltered under the look he gave her as he stood up. Like it? He said quietly. Would you like it? No, I'm sorry, Harry. I didn't mean... I hate it. I hate the fact that he can get inside me. That I have to watch him when he's most dangerous. But I'm going to use it. Dumbledore, forget Dumbledore. This is my choice, nobody else's. I want to know why he's after Grigorovich. Who? He's a foreign wand maker, said Harry. He made Crumb's wand, and Crumb reckons he's brilliant. But according to you, said Ron, Voldemort's got Ollivander locked up somewhere. If he's already got a wand maker, what does he need another one for? Maybe he agrees with Crumb. Maybe he thinks Grigorovich is better. Or else he thinks Grigorovich might be able to explain what my wand did when he was chasing me, because Ollivander didn't know. Harry glanced into the cracked, dusty mirror and saw Ron and Hermione exchanging skeptical looks behind his back. Harry, you keep talking about what your wand did, said Hermione. But you made it happen. Why are you so determined not to take responsibility for your own power? Because I know it wasn't me. And so does Voldemort, Hermione. We both know what really happened. They glared at each other. Harry knew that he had not convinced Hermione and that she was marshalling counter-arguments against both his theory on his wand and the fact that he was permitting himself to see into Voldemort's mind. To his relief, Ron intervened. Drop it, he advised her. It's up to him. And if we're going to see the Ministry tomorrow, don't you reckon we should go over the plan? Reluctantly, as the other two could tell, Hermione let the matter rest, though Harry was quite sure she would attack again at the first opportunity. In the meantime, they returned to the basement kitchen where creatures served them all stew and treacle tart. They did not go to bed until late that night.
after spending hours going over and over their plan until they could recite it, word perfect, to each other. Harry, who was now sleeping in Sirius's room, lay in bed with his wand light trained on the old photograph of his father, Sirius, Lupin, and Pettigrew, and muttered the plan to himself for another 10 minutes. As he extinguished his wand, however, he was thinking not of Polyjuice Potion, puking pastils, or the navy blue robes of magical maintenance. He thought of Grigorovitch, the wand maker, and how long he could hope to remain hidden while Voldemort sought him so determinedly. We're going to end there, because dawn is coming up, and the plan is going to happen. That was great. That was great. It was all happening in the house. They're all in the house this whole time, and it's so dramatically rich. It's fantastic. I'm really digging this book. Really digging this book. If it keeps going like this, I think it might turn into my favorite, because it's just so rich. There's always something happening, whether it's like action-wise or dramatically. There's no downtime in this one. Till now. You say plan funny. Mo Luther, are you from the UK? Already? I swear this hour just flies by. Why is that, John? I'm doing fine. Huh? What do you mean? I don't know what I said, Mark. Sorry. I love that Creature is a good cook. Yeah, that is actually pretty dope. Harry Potter bottle episode, totally. So bottle episode, the thing Timon's mentioning is in every TV show, in order to save money, somewhere in the seasons, you'll notice that they have an episode where they're just in one room. 2 or 3 or 4 characters just stuck in one room. Even Rick and Morty has it. They have a bottle episode, even though they don't need it because they're animating it either way. But it's to save money. Because they don't have to go to different places, have more actors, all these different camera setups, is so that they can save money. So it's kind of like a bottle episode. What's your predictions for what's coming next, KJ? Well, they're gonna go and try to steal it. They're gonna go and try and steal the real locket, and they're going to have a fight with Umbridge, and they're gonna squash Umbridge under their hands, their fingers. Yeah, I love that it doesn't follow the same formula of the Hogwarts books, Danielle. Yeah, me too. That's what I love about this one. Creature with the Pan was hilarious. Oh man, that was so funny. That and Harry just deciding to ram his face into a table. Oh, those two are some of my favorite comedic moments of the book. Plan on British is pronounced just like in North America, but with a light L. Plan. I think that's what I said. But are you from the UK? Thanks for keeping up the readings. These are so fun and hope-filled, fueled. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you very much. I'm glad that they are hope-filled and fueled for you. And honestly, also such a great little chat and community. Everybody's just so nice. I love it. And if you want to join any further, hop in the description. There's a Discord link. Community people are sharing ingredients of stuff they make, playing video games together. I'm not on there as often, but people sure are making the most of it and just building a really fun community on there. What's your opinion on Fletcher? Oh my gosh, who's Fletcher? Mundungus. All right. I think he's just a worm. I don't think he's actually like an evil dude. He's a cockroach. He's just a guy who like ekes out and exists and ekes out an opportunity wherever he can. You know, he's kind of like Better Call Saul, like that kind of character. He's just like, oh, opportunity. I gotta survive. It's that kind of guy. Mo Luther, yes I am. Okay, cool. Opinion on Tonks being pregnant. Nice, Julie. My opinion is it's a great thing. I think if Lupin can get around to giving himself fully to the child and raising it without all the fear involved and doesn't infuse fear into his kid, I think that kid's gonna be so strong and fun. 3 a.m. Camilla. 4 a.m. Woo! Thanks for reading up. Did you like to read in German? I sure did, Lezek. Postcard thing is going to be... Oh, yeah, right. As part of the Discord community, there's a postcard... what you call it?
secret postcard thing. We signed up and we're gonna send each other postcards. So somebody's gonna get a postcard from me. I'm gonna get a postcard from somebody else, and that's happening everywhere in that group. We miss your introduction of those German expressions. Traduction? I'm not sure what that means. Mundungus is like Del Boy. His tog's pregante. What is dinner in Canada? We're gonna make some pizza today. Making pizza. My favorite comedic moment of the series so far is John knocking his teeth with his vase. Oh, gosh, that was the worst. Are you pregnancy? Exchange, that's the word. Thank you, Timon. Would you read the whole Harry Potter book series in German next? I'm sorry, no. I mean, I could read like a page or two just to so people can hear that. But no, I'm going to move on to another series. I'm thinking the order of things after I finish this book is I'm going to take a short break, maybe like a week. It's good to take a break so that I can be reinvigorated for these. Then do a play reading with some of my actor friends of The Cursed Child, then watch the movies. And after that, we will get into another book. And I will announce what I'm going to read probably during the first movie that we watch. Yeah. I didn't say from my mom did. I just found out. Pregnant? Can you get prefnat? People just digging that. Oh my god, shoddy. I do really think you should reread Harry Potter in the future. It's just Curse Child movie watch-alongs like that plan. I'm a play reading, so cool idea. John put me in for Curse Child, sure, yeah. Check the. Okay, I am logging out because it's dinner time. So, thank you. It was a fun time. You are loved. You have value and you have meaning. Don't forget that. And I thought of another thing. You know, the reason I started this, I was like, hey, we all had a difficult time during the beginning of the quarantine, the first round when it happened. It's so many people posted like, oh, I'm going crazy, that kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, well, I think it might be fun to read to people, and I could still entertain people that way. And you know, I've had a lot of really nice messages people sent me, just like, thank you for the read. You know, thank you for this. Is also gives me something. But I want to say something. If this has taken care of your emotions in some kind of way or helped with some kind of anxieties, do the same for others. You know, reach out and check in on other people's emotions, check in on other people's anxieties or whatever. Do something to take care of others too, please. That would be very lovely. All right, and enough of my preaching. All right, have a nice weekend. Oh, last thing. I won't be there on Monday. Tuesday. I won't be there. I won't be reading on Monday. We're back on Tuesday, so please don't forget that. I'll post that in Discord too. All right, bye-bye now.